top stories in and around Aylesbury on Aylesbury News. Knives and drugs found on man in Aylesbury. 2 knives and a large amount of drugs have been found on 3 men in Aylesbury. Thames Valley Police arrested the men yesterday, 13th June, on suspicion of supplying drugs. They have all been charged and 2 are in prison whilst they wait for the court date. Thames Valley Police wrote an update on their Facebook page in relation to the 3 males arrested for drug and knife offences. All 3 were charged and remanded to court. At court, 2 have been sent prison awaiting trial. The 3rd is not allowed back to Aylesbury. Hampden Fields, the fight for Aylesbury is not over yet. The fight for Aylesbury is not over yet, according to the Hampden Fields Action Group. They said the development does not have planning permission yet and are encouraging people to challenge AVDC on the proposals. Last October, AVDC gave Hampden Fields the nod, which made it seem like it would likely go ahead. The proposals are to build 3,000 new homes in Aylesbury, along with a link road, care home, 2 schools and space for other community facilities like a GP surgery and shop. But there was over 5,000 objection letters to the department. The development was called in by then Secretary of State Sajid Javid, but in April this year he said he was happy for it to go ahead. Now, 2 months on from the central government's decision, Phil Yelby, who's part of the Action Group, has spoken out in this video saying the fight isn't over yet.
We're making this video because we had a public meeting last week, and I asked at the public meeting how many people thought Hampden Fields had already had planning permission, and about 30 or 40% at least thought that Hampden Fields and indeed Woodlands already had planning permission. Now that is categorically not the case. All that's happened since last time is the council has resolved to grant planning permission. Now what that means is essentially they've just moved it back to officers to continue the process of developing the case for Hampden Fields. They have not granted formal planning permission at all. So that's essentially all they've done. Now there is an incredibly long way to go still before planning permission and building can start taking place on those sites. So what do they still need to do? They need to grant planning permission through negotiating what's called a Section 106 agreement. That's where they agree who's going to pay for what. Now what's happened here is they've promised the absolute earth to try and get this through. They promised new schools, loads of new roads, loads and loads of flood mitigation. It is going to cost millions and millions of pounds. That's a very complicated agreement. Second thing they need to do is actually formally grant planning permission, and that is the stage where we can formally challenge it legally, and we are looking to do that very much so. Thirdly, they need to get the local plan through, what's called the Vale of Aylesbury local plan. That is going to be heavily contested, especially on transport grounds. And the final thing they need to do is get something through what's called reserved matters. That's the detail of the plan, and we know that several things are going to change at that stage because there are several weaknesses in what they currently plan which simply have to change. It's taken them 8 years to get this far, 8 years, and it may take them significantly longer before they get anywhere near building this, and every step of the way we will be scrutinising and fighting. We're preparing for absolutely every eventuality. AVDC could solve the Section 106 any time between now and maybe a year or 2 years' time. It can take that long. They can go on for years. But in the meantime, what we've done is we've beefed up our legal team. We've now got a QC involved. We've consulted widely. We've looked at the legal case. We are really waiting for AVDC to make their next move before we can decide what's happened. But we will be challenging this every single step of the way. In the meantime, we are going to fight the local plan because the transport around Aylesbury is absolutely critical. So this isn't a fight just about Hampden Fields and about Western Turville or Stoke Mandeville or Aston Clinton or the villages to the south of Aylesbury. This is a fight for the whole of Aylesbury. It's really important that everybody understands that that local plan is crucial to the success of Aylesbury. And currently putting 15,000 houses around Aylesbury, even if you put the roads around that plan, is going to be a disaster in traffic terms. So we're determined to fight it. We encourage everybody from the wider Aylesbury to come support our cause. We're determined that with people supporting us, we can make a major difference to the town, for the better, for the future, for everybody. Please join us, please support us. There's an incredibly long way to go, and this is important for the whole of Aylesbury, not just the villages.
Jail for brothers who burgled more than 60 houses in a 7-month spree across the counties. Two callous brothers who burgled more than 60 houses across 15 counties in just 7 months have been jailed. Patrick Connors, 23, and 18-year-old Miles Connors from Northampton smashed doors or used tools to force their way into dozens of properties while travelling around the counties in stolen cars fitted with false registration plates. The brothers also tried to destroy forensic evidence by spraying cleaning fluid and using bleach. They were arrested in Bedfordshire in February when police stopped a Vauxhall Insignia fitted with false plates on the M1. From there, the Connors were linked to the spree of burglaries through CCTV and DNA evidence in an operation spanning most of the Midlands and south of England. Detective Sergeant Lee Hazel of Surrey CID said the Connor brothers were callous and opportunists, brazenly smashing doors or using tools to enter properties and using stolen vehicles with false registration plates to commit their crimes. We don't underestimate the impact of a burglary on the victims. It is enormously emotionally upsetting, and many of the Connors victims were left feeling unsafe in their own homes. Often the emotional damage can far outlast the time it takes to replace stolen items and repair damaged property. Property found in abandoned stolen vehicles were linked to other crimes across the south of England. They struck in Sussex, Oxfordshire, Middlesex, Buckinghamshire, Hertfordshire, Kent, Essex, Northamptonshire, London, Staffordshire, Northamptonshire, Cambridgeshire, Warwickshire, Leicestershire. They were charged with conspiracy to burgle between July 2017 and February this year. Patrick Connors was jailed for 4 years and Miles Connor for 2 years after they pleaded guilty at an earlier hearing at Guildford Crown Court. When they are released from prison, they will be banned from owning more than one phone or computer each for 5 years and will have to notify police of any changes of address under a tough serious crime prevention order, a SCPO. If they break the conditions of the order, they could face up to 5 years in prison. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and leave comments below. Oh, don't forget to share and like our videos. Thank you.